What's up, everyone? Happy Memorial Day to everyone out there watching here in the States. We are just off the heels of a regular, shitty, normal, lackluster, typical, run-of-the-mill WWE Raw. My mic is loud. Whoa. Never really much to expect on these, holiday shows anyway, but things have been extra bad on Monday Night Raw lately. I'm very happy that I didn't even have to be here last week because, of course, I missed it. And I didn't even look at what happened last week, and that's fine because they provided us with endless amounts of recaps tonight. What'd you guys think of the show? We had a couple of things to at least ask you about. Number one, Jimmy Smith, night one for him, heading up the Raw commentary team. I think he is a big improvement. He just fits a little bit more, and the way I knew he was good is because I kind of tuned him out very early. I barely realized he was there, where with Adnan Virk, it felt like his voice was really out of place, and I'm all for, giving people a chance to grow and adapt and things like that, but it was kind of clear to everybody involved, including himself, that it was just kind of like not a fit. So this guy, Jimmy Smith, if it was up to me, I would have just had Tom Phillips do it, but, at least his voice kind of fits, the overall mold of what they're looking for a little bit better, I think. So all in all, I'm really fine with his performance tonight in terms of that. And also just the show in general, we now have our Hell in the Cell WWE title match set. Not a huge surprise that it's going to be Drew and Lashley again one final time in the cell. I mean, I don't know if it's announced for the cell, but I think it should be based on, everything that's gone on between them. But WWE might not want to go there because if you put it in the cell, you essentially, unless it's, Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, you generally are going to have somebody win. And they, just like to keep the shit even between them, so we'll see what they wind up doing at Hell in the Cell, but I'm all about Lashley keeping that title until SummerSlam. But the match is set now with that main event tonight, with Drew McIntyre defeating Kofi Kingston in a really good match. I will say that the main event was great, and the finish was good. Maybe not quite like the Shelton Benjamin super kick off the top rope or from Shawn, but close. Kofi jumped off the top rope for the finish, and Drew caught him with a Claymore. Looked very good, and that was the finish of the match there, and Drew will now advance. So not a big surprise there. A lot of people, I'm sure, are not happy about this, but who fucking cares, man? We've got a few more weeks before the live crowds come back. I don't care what they do at Hell in the Cell or anything between now and Money in the Bank. Just get through these last several weeks, this month and a half, and we can get back to business here a little bit. But between now and then, I really don't care, that they're going with Drew and Lashley again, because if they went with Lashley and Kofi, Lashley would have just won that too. So with the story, everything between them and everything so far, putting them together one more time to really see who's going to win, I guess I can understand. And we'll see if it's going to wind up being in the big red fence or not. I don't know if it is or not. We'll have to wait and see. Hello to everybody here in the chat. I'll run over here and say hi and answer these super chats here in just a second. Scroll back up and get my notes ready to go for when we do start talking about Raw. Like I said, hope everybody had a great holiday, a nice long weekend here in the U.S. A lot of people were off today. And, I wasn't sure how that was going to really affect Raw in general, because usually on Labor Days, Memorial Days, things like that, or if Raw ever falls on 4th of July or anything like that here in the U.S., the shows are, not a whole lot because people have other plans. But these days, things are so bad, I don't think, you really noticed one way or the other. And they did actually have a few matches advertised for tonight and a couple of follow-ups and a couple of, moments that made me chuckle. But largely, I forgot who it was that said it in the chat here. I think it was Ryan. It's the same show. Last 6 weeks have been the same exact show. So that's Raw for you. We'll see if things get better on the other side of July, when fans are now back in full swing, and we've had a couple of weeks of that, and we head into SummerSlam, and they can really stack the card. But, I don't know if, they seem to have zero creativity in that company as it is, but I really don't see any creative juices flowing there in them right now while they're still dealing with the Thunderdome, especially after what we saw last night from AEW, who hit a home run with Double or Nothing, and they had a full house there, and it really, you could see it with multiple wrestlers, male and female, coming out there last night, that it was getting to them emotionally, just to see the fans hearing the reaction, to have that all back. WWE saw that and are pretty jealous. They were forcing their guys. They made this silly-ass promo that made no sense with the Viking Raiders and Mansoor. Actually, it made a lot of sense because he went off to do something with, or tease something with Ali. But, of course, in that little exchange between the two of them, they had to make the Viking Raiders mention the live crowds. The live crowds are coming back. It's like they got to get a piece of that action. I'm like, dude, you still got like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is. You're a bit off from actually having people there, but you know they're chomping at the bit. They're salivating. They cannot wait to get the audience there. Now they're starting to instruct talent to shoehorn that shit into some of their promos. It's ridiculous. But that was actually an interesting segment because Mansoor turned right around to run into Ali, you know, who they might be starting with something with those two. So we'll see. A couple interesting things, but overall, you know, the show was kind of shit tonight. Let me cruise to the chat and say hello. What's going on? Couldn't read that name. Yaka Yak Productions. Good to see you too, Jet the Hawk, Ryan Cameron, George Morris, $5. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? Raw, 0 out of 10. Everything is getting worse. More Peacock edits. Thunderdome sucks. My girlfriend is old, but smoking hot. Jesus, that's a lot of information. I haven't done much surfing around Peacock with WWE. The little bit that I've done, I haven't really liked, but a lot of people are telling me about major edits, and now shows are missing from Monday Night Raw seasons and things like that. So the WWE Network content is now subject to a huge amount of editing, and they're going to be pulling a lot of stuff where before WWE made it a point to say everything's going to be available, you know, even the show that Owen died on and shit. But, you know, now they're starting to pull stuff that they don't deem lives up to their standards and practices, and it's probably a lot from that 97 and 98, 99 era. They're probably pulling shows left and right. So that's the way it is. Fucking sucks. Raw, 0 out of 10. I'll give it more than a 0 out of 10, but tonight was certainly not any good. And Michael Kumo chiming in with $5 from you. Yo, Greg, had to work tonight, but that's okay. I get paid time and a half as well as holiday pay. That's nice. And I was able to watch some Raw on Fubo TV on my phone. Well, that's good. You were able to work, get paid, and watch Raw. That ain't bad. That's not bad at all. I'm glad you're here anyway. Appreciate it, man. As always, WWE fan, appreciate the $10 from you. Happy Memorial Day. I ended up missing Double or Nothing because I was out of town. What did you think of the show? Sorry, I buy it, and should I buy it and watch it? Sorry that this is off topic of Raw. No, if you want to check out my review of that, we were up here last night talking about it. It was a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed Double or Nothing. I thought they were really firing on all cylinders. The matches, most of them throughout the night, exceeded the expectations I even had for them, and the MVP of the entire night was just the people, just the humans, the audience there that were so jacked, having such a good time. A lot of our Twitter and YouTube friends were there enjoying themselves in Jacksonville. It was cool to see that. Everybody just kind of doing their thing and kind of life getting back to normal. And it was visible in the eyes of the talent when they were coming out there and hearing those reactions. And, you know, almost like, you know, they kind of got a little choked up, you know, Serena Deeb and Hangman Page. And I saw a lot of this from a lot of them last night. And then they just went out there. I think that just kind of, you know, lit that much more of a fire under them to really go out there and make sure they performed well. And, you know, that's a $50 pay-per-view, so you got to give us our money's worth. They did, and I have very, very few complaints about the pay-per-view last night. So, yeah, as far as buying it now and spending the money on it now, hopefully you can get it for cheaper than $50 somehow now that it's already aired. But, yes, at least find a way to check it out because it's more than worth it. You should be entertained. And it was fun to watch it live, a lot of fun to watch it live and live tweet. Good stuff. Deshaun Robinson's here, Ben, Michael, Big J, Adam, Tox, Philip. Oh, sorry, didn't say hi to you. Ratnick is here as well. Thunderdome is lamer now than ever. I mean, but it's amazing how we've kind of turned on it. I'm so incredibly sick of it. I feel like my mind is becoming digitized. I really don't like it. But when they introduced it at the end of last summer, it was like a savior. It's like, oh my God, finally. Because as much as I don't like the Thunderdome and it's just giving me a headache watching it every week, I hated empty arena the stuff more. I can't stand silence. It's like one of my pet peeves. I can't. If I hear you chewing, I'm fucking plotting your murder. Like, I just don't like silence. I hate it. It makes me uncomfortable. And to hear wrestlers have to call spots and breathe heavy and wrestle in a ring, it's just not for me. So, I mean, when the Thunderdome was introduced, we were like, sweet. Finally, you know, this crowd, it makes such a difference, and it did make a difference, but something like that really does have a shelf life. That cannot be the future, you know, so the fact that that was a nice little Band-Aid over these 9 months has been great, but it's time to move the fuck on from it. So I can't wait until July. It'll be just about a year of it by the time we get to Money in the Bank, just a little bit less, and I'm ready for that. Oh, my God, I'm so ready for it. The Thunderdome. They took out Choppy Choppy. That sucks, man. Poor Val Venus is a little Choppy Choppy. I saw a little bit of Val Venus on Peacock last night. Stayed up and watched The Godfather on the Broken Skull Sessions. That's really good. It's a good watch. It might be one of my favorite Broken Skull Sessions they've done yet. They've all been pretty good. I mean, I'm partial, obviously, like Brett and Angle and Taker and stuff, but he's got a really interesting story, Godfather. And they talked about how they nearly reintroduced Papa Shango in the Attitude Era in like 97, and they gave it kind of a little makeover to where it was a little bit more for the time period and a little bit more less cartoony, more realistic, less cartoony and less over the top. And I would have been into seeing that character debut. I think it would have been pretty cool, but he joined the Nation, morphed into the Godfather instead. He's got an extremely interesting younger life, how he just grew up kind of just being a good old boy. He rode motorcycles and he was into country music. He said he even turned Undertaker on to country music. Undertaker used to listen to good music, and then Godfather turned him into that. I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that Charles Wright is responsible for turning Undertaker into a redneck? That's crazy. That blew my mind. He had such an interesting kind of story. Some of it I knew, some of it I didn't. And it's worth a watch. It's just fun. And him and Austin go way back as they cross paths a little bit when Austin was first breaking in Memphis and stuff. So they've got some interesting stories of a couple of run-ins they had with each other. And it's just an all-in-all fun watch. He is one of the most just loving guys. Like, he talks about how angry and what a son of a bitch he was when he was younger, always trying to fight and, very stubborn and everything. And he is just like the most chill guy, wouldn't shut the hell up about his cannabis business. And you got to get to the end of it. There's this great spot at the end. I can't even describe it. It has to be seen to be believed. Go to the end of The Godfather, right at the very last 30 seconds of the interview. And Godfather's talking about his cannabis business and CBD. And he goes, and I know it doesn't work for some people like you, but for me, it works really well for me. And they cut to Steve and he goes, yeah. And then they just cut it off and do the end of the interview. And the way he just was shoot him off, shut up about your cannabis, was kind of funny. So anyway, was just a little interesting ending there to the interview, but well worth a watch and something I'm sure will put a smile on your face because Charles Wright is a good dude. And that was a good pick to come up there because he's got one hell of a story. Speaking of videos this week, before we get into Raw, got some stuff to tell you. My hope is to drop a pretty interesting episode tomorrow. There's a chance I'll delay it another day. I'm just kind of fine-tuning it now. It's a different type of video, a whole different style of editing that I'd like to make sure I get right before I upload it. It's going to kind of be similar to my Chris Jericho Cruise video and the collection video I did last year. For those of you who are here every week watching these streams, you've probably noticed that it looks a little bit different behind me than it did maybe a couple of weeks ago. I did a massive gutting of my entire studio, just took everything out and put everything back with some upgrades, a new rug, some new shelves, cleaned everything up, organized, did a lot of organization, and I documented the entire thing on video and stuff. So I decided to make a video about it. It's about 15 minutes long, and it's kind of like a room tour and upgrade, just something to give me something else to do, something to throw up on YouTube that might be fun, because a lot of you guys are, you should do another thing or another room tour, and this is kind of like that. It's in that spirit. So that should be up tomorrow morning. I might just do it. I might do it Wednesday. Maybe. But most likely that'll be up tomorrow. And we've got a podcast change for this week. No podcast on Saturday. I've got to be at work pretty early, but I've got a different day off this week. I'm taking Thursday off. So on Thursday is perfect. It'll be right after AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. Really interested to see all the fallout from Double or Nothing. So we'll come up on Thursday to kind of a news brief. We'll touch on Dynamite from the night before, maybe a little bit on NXT from tomorrow, and we'll discuss any wrestling news going on. And that'll kind of be, in lieu of the podcast that I would normally do on Saturday. So it's going to be kind of like a Thursday evening type of stream here, and we'll just come up and talk about stuff, whatever's going on in the world, and specifically probably focus on Dynamite. And then this Sunday, I'm going to be up here for another watch-along, because to the best of my knowledge, we don't have a pay-per-view, right? So I'll be up here for a watch-along, just got to decide on that, and I think I've already kind of decided, but we'll be up here to do that. So you got tomorrow, you got Thursday, you got Sunday, and no Saturday this week. So just keep that in mind if you're a subscriber that likes to keep score and that sort of shit. Smash the thumbs up button for me if you don't mind. Now I'll shut up and we'll get into the Raw results, because I don't know, man. It's Memorial Day. There ain't many people here watching. We're going to blow through these results, and I'm going to get out of here because I can get some work done tonight. If not many people are... Oh, shit. If not many people are hanging out. Fuck. They preempted 2 weeks? I thought it was just this one. Oh, so Dynamite is on Friday. No shit. Okay. Well, that sucks. How am I going to work things here? Not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'll probably still be up here on Thursday. Hopefully there's be some wrestling news to talk about, but if there's not, okay, well, we'll just think out loud here. We'll try to figure this out together. So Saturday wasn't going to work for me. I thought Thursday would be perfect. Shit, that kind of sucks for them that they got bumped right after Double or Nothing when you want to come back with a hot show, a hot audience and everything, and you got to be bumped to a different night. That sucks. Used to happen in WWE all the time with the U.S. Open. They would get, a lot of times, their post-Summerslam Raws would get bumped. Imagine that. It used to happen a lot. I think it happened like 98, maybe 99 or something. Both of those years, it was just a super annoying type of deal. Damn. They preempted all of June. So, yeah, that's going to, when they move to TBS, this is actually going to be a good thing because we're not going to have to worry about these preemptions anymore with the NBA playoffs and stuff. So it's probably a good move that they're doing that because that's a bummer, man. So I think that'll probably not really affect me. I'm probably still just going to come up here on Thursday because that's all the time I really have unless I came up on Friday, but then that would be before those shows. So, yeah, my shit might be a little bit jacked this week. So it's probably as good a time as ever to subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter because I might have to make some stuff up on the fly this week, and I'll provide you all that information over there. So, yeah. And it's at 10 p.m., which means a Friday stream wouldn't even be very good because, a lot of you guys would be staying up late to do that. So, yeah, we'll see, man. All right, might be a weird week here on the channel, but you know what? We're still in Thunderdome era, and until we get out of that, shit might just be a little bit weird. Let's talk about tonight's Monday Night Raw. Weird show. I'm so glad I missed last week. Looks like I didn't miss anything. I saw all these recaps they gave us. And we knew that coming off what was a euphoric night last night in terms of what AEW gave us and just the feeling and the fans back in that normalcy and a kick-ass pay-per-view with great matches and cool shit, coming off of that and then have to sit through Raw as if that's not hard enough to do that. Now you're coming off what we just watched last night, and it was going to be literally the opposite of what we saw last night was going to be what we got tonight. Just a whole bunch of shit we didn't care about. Opened up with Miz TV. Their guest this week is supposed to be Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, I believe, or maybe Charlotte. I forgot. One or both of them. Doesn't matter. Miz is out there. He's back. We have not seen him since the zombies ate him. He announced that he was injured in the Lumberjack match at WrestleMania Backlash. I can't remember what they said the timetable is on an in-ring return for him, but he did announce that he was injured. Morrison, Johnny Drip Drip, the moist voice, is out there wearing a garlic necklace to keep away the zombies. Or what do you wear garlic for? Is garlic vampires? I think garlic might be vampires. Basically, he's just being ready. And this happened twice in this promo. It was so annoying. Miz was the first one to say, "What's that smell?" And I'm like, dude, you've been sitting out there with him for God knows how long. How do you not see this unmistakable, unmissable, gigantic, huge necklace of about a dozen garlic bulbs around Drip Drip's neck? Are you blind? What the fuck? And then right after that, as they start talking, Miz brings out their guest, Charlotte. Johnny Drip Drip gets up, goes to the ropes to let her in. She's face to face with the garlic and then gets in the ring and is like, what's that smell? And I'm like, first of all, you know what it is. You were just at Gorilla, no doubt, watching sideways on the monitor, right? Because that's the way they all do it. So you were literally behind the curtain, watching everything they said on the monitor. They talked about the garlic. They acknowledged the garlic. They acknowledged that the smell was the garlic. And then you get in the ring. You put your big snout right up against the garlic. You see it with your own eyes twice now, and then you still ask, what's that smell? I'm going to take a wild guess here, Charlotte, and I'm going to say it's the garlic. Yeah, it's the garlic. So anyway, she's out there. Then Rhea Ripley comes out and says something, and then Nikki Cross comes out. Now, I didn't watch Raw last week, but from what I understand, Nikki kind of had this beat the clock challenge shit with Rhea Ripley, and she won it. Basically, she just didn't lose in 2 minutes or something. Is that what it was? So they basically did the same thing here. She wants a shot to do this against Charlotte. Charlotte calls her a little troll and says, "You're on." And they cut to commercial. We come back, and we basically have a 2-minute match here. It's Charlotte versus Nikki, but Nikki doesn't have to win. All she has to do is not lose in 2 minutes. This is an insult to Nikki, to me. Yes, I understand it's Charlotte. Yes, I know their positions on the card are vastly different, but this is still Nikki Cross. This is still a really credible wrestler, a little badass chick that I think even if she's not on Charlotte's level, she can last 2 minutes in there. I mean, come on. The fact that this is some big victory, she did the same thing to Rhea Ripley last week. Of course she can last 2 minutes. Anybody could last 2 minutes in there with like a moderate amount of training, I think, so in professional wrestling. So Nikki Cross survives. She technically wins, but in my, when you see her out there, I put on Twitter tonight, I'm like, this girl deserves to be on the Hall of Fame based on just pure enthusiasm and attitude alone. They do nothing with her. And every time she's out there, she is balls out. She is full on into it, giving it her all. I mean, WWE's got a hell of a piece of talent right here. I don't know. Just want to push her maybe? Just a crazy concept. You're looking for more women to elevate and challengers. What the hell's wrong with her? She's awesome. And you can make her crazy if you want. I think Nikki Cross has got ridiculous potential. I mean, her brother Karrion is doing really well in NXT. Why can't Nikki do well here? I don't know. So anyway, yes, Nikki survived. I would like to think this might turn into more for her, but I just don't trust WWE to ever do anything with her. And she's really good. So anyway, she survives. She beats Charlotte and Rhea, I guess, in back-to-back weeks, and these beat the challenge matches. Now I'm assuming, since we still have a lot of time until we get to the match between the two, is that what we're doing here? Is that what's happening at Hell in a Cell? Charlotte and Rhea or something? So before we get there, now they're probably both going to have real singles matches with Nikki. Watch for that. Probably next week, it'll be Rhea and Nikki, or maybe Charlotte and Nikki in a rematch, but this time no beat the clock bullshit. And then Rhea will do the same thing, and then they'll just beat her twice. So I don't know. But, yeah, Charlotte and Rhea Ripley saga continues, but I'd much rather watch Nikki Cross, like Slim Jim says. That's what I'd do. Backstage, man, I'll tell you what, if Riddle wasn't on this show, I would just fall into a full-blown coma. Damian Priest and Matt Riddle are backstage hanging out. Riddle's talking to him and asking him how to say shit in Spanish. He's like, "How do you say bro?" And Damian's like, "Hermano." And Matt was like, "That's an easy one." And then he goes, "Hey, Randy." He goes, "How about hey, Randy?" And he goes, "Randy, hey, Randy." And then he's like, no, in Spanish. He goes, "Hey, Randy." And Randy's right behind Matt Riddle. Now, I didn't see what happened last week. Of course, I missed that phenomenal match that Riddle and Xavier Woods apparently had. But I guess, did Riddle get the win using the RKO? Which was funny. Orton's like, yeah, you used my move last week. He goes, I don't know what happened. It's like I just hit it out of nowhere, which was hilarious. So he's like kind of like low-key mad or passive-aggressively mad about him using the finisher. But at the same time, he's like, if we're going to go with this tag team thing, we need to be on the same page. And this just elates Matt Riddle. When he realizes it's Randy, he goes, "Hola, amigo," which was just funny. Riddle cracks me the fuck up. People are like, "Oh, he's such a goofball." I know. I'm cool with it. So Orton, he's kind of like I've been saying that I really want him to warm up to Riddle here before, eventually the shit will hit the fan between these two. But he invites Riddle out to ringside for his match later with Xavier Woods. Riddle marks out for that. "Really? I could be at ringside? Sweet." And he's scooting around, going crazy. So he's happy about that. We go to commercial. We come back, and we get Xavier Woods and Randy Orton. This is a pretty good match. But I kind of had a feeling when they went to this, I'm like, Randy Orton's going to... the Bro Derek wasn't even in my mind. I was trying to think of him doing something Matt Riddle-like, and I didn't even think of, just hit him with the Bro Derek. That's what he did. So he hit Xavier Woods with the Bro Derek. That was the finish. Riddle is over the moon on the outside of the ring. He's like, "Wow, this is great. We can teach each other our finishes and shit." So it's pretty funny. He's got the scooter in the ring, and he's rolling around Randy Orton. So I think these two need to continue to roll. Obviously, Randy Orton, one or two things is happening here. He's either legitimately warming up to Riddle, but eventually he's going to break Riddle's heart. We know Riddle's going to get his heart broken one or the other. Or Randy Orton is just the type of guy that'll go so far out of his way to exact revenge on someone because maybe Riddle just extra annoyed him in a random promo 6 weeks ago, and he's vowed to dismantle this man from head to toe ever since. And this whole thing is him just suckering him in and laying low and then boom, striking when he doesn't notice. Either way, regardless of what happens here, at some point, I think Randy Orton is going to break Matt Riddle's heart. And as I've talked about now, I think 3 separate times in a podcast, when it comes to these two, I think you've got a really good opportunity here to have Randy Orton be a guy to kind of help the Riddle persona or character evolve, because his biggest complaint right now from everybody that I see online, they all say the same thing, and it's that he's too goofy, he's a goofball, he just rambles. To me, that cracks me up, but I can't understand that it's a little bit too goofy, and I've brought up guys like Rob Van Dam and specifically Kurt Angle as examples in the past of guys that can Rob Van Dam can be more chill, a little bit more laid back. Kurt Angle can be straight up goofy, but manages to be a badass at the same time. And Riddle knows how to do that too, but maybe his goofiness is a little bit over the top. So when it does eventually and inevitably happen between these two and Randy Orton puts the boots to him or turns on him, RKOs him, breaks Matt Riddle's heart, it changes Riddle a little bit, to where he's been burned so badly, he's not going to be so foolishly and childishly naive enough to trust anybody, and he's now going to have a little bit more of an attitude, and it might just be enough to propel him into being like a serious star, like a serious contender. And I've said that all along. I'm like, if he just pulled the brakes on the goofiness just a hair and inserted a little bit more of that Kurt Angle or a little bit more of that Rob Van Dam into him, I almost think he'd be the perfect mix. So I think Randy is the guy to eventually maybe bring that out of him after they have a relatively short bromance here for the remainder of the summer, because it could be, it's not going to be in the same light as Owens and Jericho, but if you can let this run until fans come back and you do the split kind of soon after the fans come back when they're still really jacked and you're going to get and maximize a good response out of them, right after Money in the Bank or something. These guys will probably both be in Money in the Bank, the Money in the Bank match, knowing them. One of them will win, and, maybe Riddle will win. You know what? Riddle's an excellent early pick for me for Money in the Bank. Random, probably nobody else is picking him. You add that dynamic between Randy Orton and him. Now Randy Orton may be a little bit jealous, or now he's going to make him an enemy or something. That might add a dynamic there. But when Randy Orton eventually turns on him, if you do that in front of an audience, that should get a pretty badass reaction from them. And of course, we'll see how that will affect Riddle going forward after that. So anyway, that's one of the bright spots on the show to me, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. It's random. I'm liking everything I've seen from them so far because it's just fun, and I need some goddamn fun on this, torturous show that is to watch. And the more Matt Riddle is scooting around on a scooter and that sort of thing, the happier I am. After that, my happiness would turn to anger because we get Shayna Baszler taking on Reginald in an intergender match here. Reginald, if this intergender shit takes off and they start doing this on the reg from here on out throughout history, I think Reginald will go down in history as a pivotal part of bringing that kind of back and making it okay again. Because every time he's in the ring, it's not like he's undermatched in all these matches. People were pissed tonight. I saw when he got that win over Shayna Baszler, oh my God. Nia Jax is watching the monitor at Gorilla, and Reginald winds up winning with the pyro going off again, and he's able to roll up Shayna Baszler for the win. So I think this was done by Alexa Bliss, because right after that, she would invite Reginald to join her on Alexa's Playground later on in the night. So I don't know if she tied into that or what the fuck. But anyway, Reginald defeated Shayna Baszler. This is ridiculous. Shayna Baszler is just, think about where she was a year ago, right before the pandemic, challenging Becky for the title at WrestleMania. Many felt she should have won the title at WrestleMania, and she's been in a downward spiral ever since, other than, the tag run with Nia Jax and stuff. So anyway, Reginald beats Shayna Baszler. After that, we get a Drew McIntyre promo talking about his advertised scheduled match with Kofi Kingston in the main event. Of course, the winner of this will earn a shot at Bobby Lashley at Hell in the Cell. And he talked about the respect he has for Kofi and how far back they go and how he do anything for his family and shit like that. But in the end says he's going to beat him. Also kind of threw shade at him a little bit, talking about the Brock Lesnar match. I was in the audience for that. I went to the first SmackDown at Staples and watched Brock beat Kofi in like 5 seconds. And he threw that in his face a little bit and also said, I beat the Beast. Kofi got annihilated by him. So Kofi would take exception to that later. Tag team match, we have Ascension 2.0 taking on the Lucha House Party. Not much to say there. Mace and T-Bar got the win, and they cut a weird promo before the match that is just, I like both of these guys, but man, it's just dumb, this gimmick. Don't like it. After that, oh man, poor Sheamus. This dude, John Cena'd his nose to the other side of his cheekbone. My God, it reminded me of that shit with Seth Rollins and Cena from a few years back on Monday Night Raw. Sheamus took a shot here. This whole thing was ridiculous. You talk about a waste. You pin your champion twice and smash his nose to shit. And in the end, is it really going to help Ricochet or Humberto Carrillo at all? Probably not. If you ask me, send Ricochet back to NXT, please. Please, my God. So they start with Ricochet and Sheamus. Sheamus in the ring on the mic or something, and I don't know if it's another open challenge or whatever it is, but Ricochet comes out. They start having their match, and Humberto Carrillo comes out. I think his music hits, and of course, this distracts Sheamus. Ricochet rolls him up and gets the win. So this is funny because I start moving around a little bit in the room here, and I'm standing up, and I'm in the bathroom over here. And I've got Raw on loud enough to where I can hear it. So I'm hearing the Humberto and Sheamus match, or the Ricochet and Sheamus match. And I hear Humberto come out. I hear Sheamus get pinned. And immediately, like when they go to commercial, as soon as the pin happens, they're like, wow, he pulls off an upset, and boom, commercial. I wasn't even in the room, and I could tell. I was like, when we come back, we're gonna join. I didn't even say they're gonna make the match. I'm saying I knew they were gonna join the match in progress. I said, when we come back from commercial, Humberto and Sheamus will be in the ring, impromptu second match for Sheamus. It's like you can almost tell by the timing and the tone of voice. They have programmed us to smell what's coming from 3.5 miles away. It's the most predictable fucking nonsense just because of the way they write TV and the way they structure everything in the breaks and the commercials and the segments and the matches. You can always tell. I didn't even have to be watching it. I had 2 walls between us, and I was able to figure out in my brain what we were going to see. Sure enough, I walked back in the room right as the commercial break airs, and boom, Humberto Carrillo and Sheamus in the ring. What a shocker. Just a couple of minutes into that, Carrillo, forearms, Sheamus directly in the mush. They show a replay of it, and he just took a shot right to his face. His nose exploded. He's got blood everywhere. He finishes the match, but at the same time, he loses because Humberto Carrillo was able to roll him up. It's like because Ricochet's out there. So this guy gets beat twice in 2 distraction roll-up finishes. The only way to rectify this now is to put these 2 guys in the ring with him in a triple threat match for the title, and he beats them Daniel Bryan and Edge style. Stack these fuckers on top and beat them. That's all I want to see here after what we saw here. So Sheamus, poor guy, he took just a shot right to the tough bastard. I've never had my nose broken, but man, it looks like it hurts like a motherfucker. And he put on Twitter a selfie just minutes after this, and it's similar. It's not as bad as Cena. Cena's was really like on the other side of his face. This one just looks like he's gonna have 2 giant black fucking eyes tomorrow. So my God, it was gnarly. Poor Sheamus. So thoughts go out to him. He's gonna be fine, of course, because he's a badass. This is a regular occurrence in hockey and a lot of other sports. Not a big deal apparently to get your nose broke, but it ain't something I want happening to me. So yikes. Get well soon, Sheamus. After that, we had another Evolution vignette, which is ridiculous. Not a big deal, apparently, to get your nose broke, but it ain't something I want to happen. All right, I'm just making sure my audio. I just realized I didn't do a sound check. Can you guys do me a favor and smash the thumbs up button for me? Still no debut date on Evolution, really dragging their feet here. I'm curious if they are actually going to, because you got to think now, if you're going to debut somebody, or if you have something planned soon, wouldn't you really just wait until the fans come back, for Eva? They might want to bring her back. I mean, July 16th is still a little bit of a ways off. So to bring her back, you're essentially talking about not bringing her back for 2 more months if you wait, which means 2 more months of these fucking vignettes every week. So yeah, there's no date on that. So, she'll turn up at some point. Just don't know if it's going to be now or, late summer type of thing. After that, we get a women's tag team match. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke taking on Lana and Naomi. Natty and Tamina are on commentary for this. Natty is annoying. Tamina is okay. And Mandy and Dana Brooke, get the win and kind of stare down Natty and Tamina. So I guess that'll be... They did look great. I will say they were wearing like these matching black leather outfits. They look really good, Mandy and Dana. And I guess they're probably going to get a title shot here soon. Good for them. Cedric and Shelton was up next. Been seeing these guys in the ring a lot lately. Cedric gets his win back here. Little thumb to the eye and then some spin kick move he hits Shelton with and gets the pin. After that, we get a Kofi Kingston promo backstage. Takes exception to what McIntyre said earlier on about the Brock Lesnar stuff. but at the same time acknowledges their friendship, their history, their past, and all of that, and says that he's going to prove everybody wrong and beat them in the main event later on. Before I get into the tag team title match, because that one was also kind of weird, let me just cruise over and knock out these super chats since they are piling up a little bit, and thank the rest of you guys for being here and hanging out tonight. We've always been able to make the best of these Monday Night Raws, no matter what. Mr. E is here, too. It's good to see you. Martin Can is in the house. Patreon supporter. Reckless 24, 44, and all that stuff. Charlie's here. Crusher's here. Mike Witt is in the house. Yeah. Oh, man, good point. Not only did the U.S. Open used to wreak havoc on Monday Night Raw, so did the Dog Show. And a lot of times the Dog Show always took precedence. So did the tennis tournament. Every time. It was always ahead of Monday Night Raw. And I think it was finally in 99, WWE did like a little skit, because by then they were growing. They were doing crazy business, but probably contractually, they still had to take a back seat to the tennis tournament and stuff, and they were doing a deal where they were smashing rackets and fucking shit up on a tennis court and stuff. But the Dog Show used to do it too, man, and they would preempt some really important Monday Night Raws throughout the years. I can't remember. I want to say it might have been the reason that Shawn, when he lost his smile, that might have been a Dog Show preempted Raw, because it was a Thursday Raw. They would do them in the Dog Shows, and then they would always have to do it in late August, early September for the U.S. Open, and then there was the Dog Show every year as well. So it was a regular thing. It was ridiculous. Fucking Dog Show, are you kidding me? Preempt them. I got to get my Stone Cold. Barry MK. All right. I think we're good. Briefly had an interruption there, but I think we're back on. Yep, we're good. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Luckily, I get notified for that sort of thing. Anyway, Barry, appreciate the $2. Bad Blood 2004 watch along. Oh, man. I got to think about it. That's a good one, too. That's a good one, too. That would have been after WrestleMania 20. Oh, yeah. I don't know, man. Miz tore his ACL. Thank you. I didn't even really know the nature of his injury. I remember hearing about it right after the show, but then forgot, because some stuff I don't care about. Well, best of luck to the Miz, man. That kind of sucks. King of the Ring 98 watch along. Hell in the Cell. By the way, speaking of Hell in the Cell, I told you about the Godfather on Broken Skull Sessions. I've started watching Mick Foley's A&E biography. It looks really good. I'm like exactly one half of the way through it. Probably wrap it up tonight. And this coming Sunday is the Bret Hart one. And I'm going to love that one because Bret was my favorite wrestler, so that should be fun for me to watch. But the Foley one is going on right now, and it's really good so far. Foley might be up there with the... I've liked them all, but Foley's going to be one of the better ones. Chris Miner, appreciate $5 from you. What up, Greg? This is off topic, but on Thursday I will be proposing to my girlfriend. I hope she's not watching. Wish me luck. Hope it's memorable like Savage's proposal. Man, good luck. I don't know how you're doing it or how you're going to spring it on her, but I'm sure it'll be great. If you video it, tweet it to us or something. It'll be, you're going to do great, man. Good luck with that. Man, it's got to be nerve-wracking. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Suck it up. Get it done. Let us know how it goes on the next stream. Good luck to you. She'll say yes. Who doesn't love Chris? Andy, good to see you. Appreciate the $2. What's up, my brother? Tribal Chief storyline rules. It's one of the only things in this damn company that rules. I really appreciate that they are doing it right with him, and they are really focusing on making sure that his shit is done right. Just wish they would put that same energy into everybody else, because Roman's got a hell of a storyline going on there and a hell of a character. And one day that Tribal Chief is going to run into the other family head of the table, that one that's in movies and shit, and that's going to be a fun day. And there might be a beast incarnate to have a run-in with, too. Roman's setting himself up for some big money matches, man. It's great. JJ Legg, appreciate the $5. Riddle wins Money in the Bank. Randy turns on Riddle weeks after. Then do Orton versus Riddle for the briefcase at SummerSlam, and obviously have Riddle win that match. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of putting the briefcase on the line. I hate it when they do that, but there's been many briefcase matches. We've seen it a lot, so they're not above doing it. That's kind of, I was sort of in that line of thinking with those two, because I thought that if Riddle gets the briefcase, that could piss Orton off and he just turn on him out of jealousy or whatever. But actually having the briefcase on the line, good work. Propose like Macho Man, get married like Triple H. Yikes. Oh, Skydome 99 was a dog show preempt too. That was also in that same time of year, right? Like February. It was ahead of that Valentine's Day Massacre. So yeah, that dog show must have been February because they did the Thursday Raw. I'm not sure if they did one in 98. I should know this. If they did a different, they might have done a Friday Raw that year. But then yeah, that 99, or that might have been prior to the Royal Rumble. I don't remember that 99 show at the Skydome. That was where that was that iconic shot of Vince and Austin in the corner when they got Austin tied up and Vince is staring at his face. That's great stuff, or screaming in his face. Yeah. Over the Edge 1998 review. That was a good show. I watched that on pay-per-view. Got the original still recorded to this day. Yeah. Hated that dog show. I did too. WrestleMania 10 watch along. Yeah, I've got some ideas. I'm gonna come up with a good one. Oh yeah, we did talk about One Night Stand 2006, the Cena match. We watched 2005. Yeah, I've got a bunch on my list here. I'll put up a poll on YouTube or something before I make that final call before this Sunday. But we will be doing a watch along Sunday, so stay tuned. Let's resume these Raw results here, man. We've got the tag team titles on the line next. This was advertised. It was going to be AJ and Omos defending against Jackson Ryker and Elias. I didn't see it last week, but apparently Jackson Ryker beat AJ Styles. People were pissed about that, but he beat him in TNA too because he was a gunner in TNA, right? I know he beat him in a match there. They were putting that shit all over social media, so history just repeats itself. Not a huge deal there. I'm no Jackson Ryker fan, but that's not something that was going to make me fly off the rails because at the end of the day, I didn't think that Elias and Jackson were going to be taking the titles off of AJ and Omos anyway. So we got the tag team title match here. They do a little bit of dissension backstage, a little bit of back and forth between Elias and Jackson. Elias is trying to I guess hype Ryker up. He's like, this is going to battle. Have you ever been to battle? And Riker's like, yeah, dude, I served in Desert Storm or whatever he said. And he's like, and he walks away. And you could tell he was, maybe not Desert Storm, would be a little bit too old, but he served in Iraq and then walked away, disgusted, and Elias is like, huh, or whatever. So they teased that dissension prior to getting in the ring. Then the match starts, and Elias just jumps off the apron and refuses to tag Ryker. So you got the belts on the line here, but Elias doesn't want anything to do with that. He walks away, leaving Jackson in the ring on his own with Omos, and he gets jerked around a little bit. AJ finally hits him with the phenomenal forearm for the win. They retain the tag team titles. We go to commercial. We come back, and Elias is being interviewed backstage, and he says that Jackson's starting to become a little bit wild, a little bit unpredictable, and, he doesn't, he's not comfortable around him or whatever, and basically said that that's why he dumped him, and fuck off, Jackson, or whatever. So I guess, it seemed like a little bit malicious, like he'd been annoyed with him for a while, and he kind of walked off in disgust, so I suppose these guys are going to do a mini feud now. I'm wondering if maybe they're kind of breaking these guys up because WWE can't wait to maybe put Rick Boogs with Elias or something. I think they'd be fine on separate shows for a while, but since they're kind of going their different ways here with Elias and Jackson Ryker, makes me wonder if we're going to get some I guess, battle of the bands between these two guys or something like that here in the future. So this, I'm sure, will lead to a match. Excuse me. Might even lead to a couple of matches between the two on TV before that issue is done, and then Jackson goes off to do something else, and Elias does his deal. After that, we've got Alexis Playground. She's got Reginald on the show, or on the set there. He agreed to be a part of this. He shows up. And he doesn't get to say much. He's sitting on the swing with her, and she says hi to him. And, all the best, by the way, to Alexa, because she just lost her pet just this past week. So she's back to work now. And Reginald, before he has a chance to really say much on the playground, he's attacked from behind by Shayna Baszler, who's pissed that he beat her earlier on. She beats the shit out of him. And right before he was able to, I think the only thing Alexa said to him was asked him about his Cirque du Soleil stuff. I didn't even know he was in that. Apparently he was in a Cirque du Soleil. That's crazy. I saw that years ago here in California. at the Del Mar Fair. I went to the Cirque du Soleil, and I can never go to that again. It was like freaking me out. They're up there so high without nets or nothing. I'm like, one of these fuckers falls, I'm going to witness a death with my own eyes. My palms were sweating. I was nervous. I hated the whole experience. That stuff just makes me nervous. So I found that interesting. Never knew that about him, but it makes sense because he can flip his balls off out there. So anyway, Shayna beats the crap out of Reginald. He scurries off, and then Shayna sits in the chair. And I kind of liked this because I liked Shayna's attitude towards Alexa Bliss. I almost liked, she was like, fuck this shit. You know, and Alexa's like, we didn't invite you. She goes, I don't give a fuck. I'll come here. I'm not scared of you or your doll or your wacky shit. I kind of like that, especially after she just got done getting beaten by someone that she could easily kick the ass of. So this made me happy that she kind of stands up to Alexa in this way. She's not letting the shit get in her head. In the end, I think it might wind up turning into another loss for Shayna Baszler. The fact now that she's gotten into Alexa's face like that, and you could see Alexa kind of stare at her, and this might bring Lily to life, and Shayna Baszler might be Lily's first victim, and what a good way to really set that character off is to put down Shayna Baszler essentially maybe in a squash or something to really get that new character over, whoever's going to play Lily, if that's even the case, or if it's going to be Alexa Bliss herself, just taking on the form of Lily, or whatever's going on here. Shayna Baszler being the first victim, I could almost see them doing that. So even though Shayna looked like a boss here, could wind up translating into a loss for her down the road against Lily or Alexa. And you know what? If it does, I think that would be a great way to almost do a short, small little reset on Shayna and have her go babyface. If, you know, Alexa kind of beats her or something weird happens to her, and then, you know, she kind of comes back and becomes a babyface and tries to build herself back up, you know, and get title shots on that end of things. Might be a good way to kind of come full circle with her if they just kind of wipe out heel Shayna Baszler here with a loss to fucking Lily. Wouldn't surprise me, but I feel like that might be the seed they're planting there. After that, we've got the backstage promo that I referenced earlier on in the beginning of the show with Mansoor and the Viking Raiders. And the Viking Raiders, you talk about the definition of a scripted promo. Jesus, man. They start talking about the live audience when the WWE Universe comes back into the crowds, and you're going to love it, and you're going to feel that energy. I'm like, dude, he's been in front of crowds before. You know, he's wrestled before. He's had lots of matches. He's wrestled on the Saudi Arabia shows. It's not his first time being out there. So it just sounded so ridiculous. It's like WWE is just chomping at the bit. They saw the fun that AEW had last night and all those fans and that great time. They want a piece of that. They just can't not be a part of it, you know? So they've now starting to instruct talents promos to mention this shit in there, and it's dumb. So anyway, they're just kind of talking to him. If you need any help, you come see us or whatever. And he's like, okay. He turns around to find Ali, who's dressed like $1 million. And he says, you know, you shouldn't just trust anyone. You shouldn't just say, okay, or, you know, just be so naive like that. And Mansoor's like, okay, then why should I trust you? And he's like, good question or whatever. So trying to get in Mansoor's head a little bit. I don't know if this is the beginning of another faction building thing for Ali. Maybe they're changing it up. The retribution thing was dumb, basically from the word go. I think the hacker thing had promise, but they dropped it. And then when they brought it back and weaved it back into the storyline, it just didn't make any sense and just came off bad. The whole thing sucked. Retribution just sucked. So maybe they're gonna try this again. And maybe he's going around and recruiting people and stuff. And we know he's got the deal with Ricochet. And, you know, maybe now talking to Mansoor. And maybe he develops another little crew here. Or he's just finding guys to feud with. We'll see. I mean, they're keeping him on TV. They're trying to do stuff with him, which I appreciate. But it really shouldn't be that hard to have a great wrestler and a pretty good talker like Ali just go out there, win matches, and challenge for championships. I don't understand why that's so hard. I don't know why he couldn't have been in the main event tonight with Drew McIntyre with the winner facing Lashley. Give me one good reason why not. You know, so we'll see if WWE does anything with this, but I'm not putting any money on it. Then we go to our main event. It's a big one. Kofi Kingston taking on Drew McIntyre. The winner will challenge Bobby Lashley for the WWE title at Hell in a Cell. And this was a really good match. I mean, there was no doubt in any of our minds that McIntyre was going to go into Hell in the Cell because you got to wrap up this issue with Lashley. A lot of people roll their eyes and say, oh my God, one more match. I agree. I don't really want to see it either, but I do understand based on where they are, you know, in their storyline between the two. The WrestleMania match, I feel like, should have been the end, but there was the distraction, and then he passed out, and then there was the triple threat. So fine, if you got to do a match here where somebody actually wins, then you might have to put him in the cell. There's no word on if it's going to be in the cell or not, I don't think. But if it is, at least that will give you a definitive winner and a victor of the feud. And if it does turn out to be Lashley, which I'm hoping it will, and he goes into SummerSlam as champion, between now and when the fans come back, that would be a good time to maybe have Drew kind of just get a little bit reinventive. He takes a loss here, goes down to Lashley. When the crowds come back, they might have a little bit less resentment for him, because I already feel like the fans, like they do with everybody, they just start turning on him and resenting him a little bit. And every time Drew gets a title shot, oh, just going back to Drew again. You just hear it. It happens with everybody. So it's just Drew's turn. So we have to deal with that shit. I think a loss here will actually help him in the eyes of the fans if he just puts Bobby Lashley over. And if he does, there's no reason why McIntyre can't win the title again one day. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really see anything wrong with that. It just depends on how WWE books it. But if they put the belt on him again, then what do they do with Lashley? And that would set up a pretty interesting match for SummerSlam either way. Even if Drew's champion, there's some matches to be had there. But I don't know. I'd rather just keep it on Lashley. So the match was pretty good, like I said, and I really enjoyed the finish. The finish was phenomenal. Kofi Kingston goes to the top rope, goes to dive off. Drew McIntyre catches him with like an uppercutting type of claymore and just takes poor Kofi's head off. That was the finish. Pins him for the 1-2-3, and a really hard-fought match. Great effort by Kofi. Nothing at all wrong with the performance by either guys here, because I like them both. And in the end, Drew won because we figured he would. So he'll now face Lashley, and we'll see. I almost think, Drew could go heel at some point in the next few months as well. Time will tell. I have seen the Paige rumor about Lily. I don't know. I don't know if she'd fit or not. She kind of would, because Paige is crazy. And I mean, that Paige here promo, she almost kind of looked like Lily in that. So I don't know. She might be a decent fit. I always just still thought like Nikki Cross would just be better for that. I don't know with Paige if she's, what she's doing with her health and if she's able to get back in the ring, or maybe she's been quietly cleared like Daniel Bryan does, and they've just been talking about how to, integrate her back into the storylines and stuff. And if she turns out to be Lily, that would be interesting, but it would also come out of nowhere. She would be recognizable. Everybody would say, oh, that's Paige. Paige is Lily. Paige is Lily. I don't know if they try to necessarily hide it, or if they would try to do something to maybe tease this or play this up. If I was them, I did see, I didn't read much into it, but I did see that I guess Paige got suspended from Twitch for violating something. I think she did a watch along or something, but she still is very much into Twitch, and she refused to shut her shit down when WWE did all that, and they somehow are just letting her continue to do it. So if she's allowed to do the Twitch or whatever, I think it might even be cool if this is only if she turned out to be Lily, is if like little tiny things were happening on Twitch. Of course, WWE can't do that. They got to have everything on their TV shows for everybody to see, 9,000 recaps of. They don't do subtlety well at all. But if you just have Paige be on her stream and then have a couple of funny glitches, maybe a little Alexa or Lily doll appears for like a nanosecond, like a millisecond on the screen, just long enough for the human eye to detect, but not long enough to maybe even register, or something. And then you can be like, did I just see a thing or whatever? And then have Paige maybe act a little weird or say something random and almost kind of seem like she's being possessed a little bit through Twitch or through the stream somehow, with little, I don't know, just little things coming in digitally on her from Alexa or Lily, and it starts kind of making her crazy, and you just do it subtly. And then eventually, if it goes full balls to the wall and Paige's eyes turn a different color and she starts talking in a crazy voice, then you show that on Raw. Yeah, we thought we'd inform the WWE Universe that something weird went on in Paige's Twitch channel last night, and we saw her face transform into Lily's face, so we're going to ask Alexa Bliss about that tonight or whatever. And, maybe something like that. That would be a good way to bring her in. Do it through the Twitch. Everybody's on Twitch, right? Everybody in bikinis and hot tubs and shit like that. So do something like that. It would be something for that audience, because there's a big audience, just like this, be the same thing as doing something on like a YouTube stream, doing something on up, up, down, down. while Xavier is playing his game. Somebody comes up behind him, hits him with a chair or something, and attacks him, something like that. But I think it would be fun if like you started doing little things like that with Paige, because otherwise, if she does turn out to be Lily, why is she Lily? Fans know Paige. You wouldn't be able to pass Paige off as a new character. You would have to say, the announcers would have to wonder, why is Paige Lily? You know what I mean? She'd be impossible to not know who she is. So I don't know if she would really fit. That's why that rumor is kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if it would fit or not. It would have to be something to where they built to it, to where there's a reason she's transforming into this alter ego. Paige coming out on Dynamite would be equally awesome. Oh, good. She's back on Instagram. She's back on Twitch. Announced that on Instagram. Good for her. Yeah, I think it was just a mistake. Apparently, you're allowed to do some watch-alongs on Twitch, but you have to do it through their shit or whatever, and I think she didn't and got a copyright thing or whatever, but glad they cleared that up for her. Glad they cleared it up. Don't know where Tessa Blanchard ends up. I think she's better in AEW because AEW needs people. Her dad's there, dressing like an absolute boss. NXT, she'd be great, but I don't know. I almost feel like AEW would be better. Paige should tell WWE she got an AEW offer and poof, WWE will clear her to wrestle. I almost think they wouldn't even care if she went at this point. They wanted to keep her on during that movie stuff, and I don't know why they're so desperate to hang on to her, but I mean, at this point, she's not a needle mover. We love Paige and everything, but it's not like she's going to change landscapes or whatever. So if she wanted to go to AEW, let her. Lashley versus The Fiend. That could be a possible match, too, for SummerSlam. That would be fun. Is Lily Carmella? I don't think so. That would be odd. Mike McGee, appreciate the $5 from you, man. If Cena is the rumored opponent for Roman at SummerSlam, do you think he beats Ric Flair's title run, then loses next month back to Roman? No, I didn't know Cena was really a rumored opponent for Roman Reigns. I am surprised. I don't think he would beat him. I wouldn't do that because they did already do this. Wasn't it just like, was it 2017? What year was it that they kind of did old versus new, the Cena and Roman match back when Cena was giving Roman a lot of shit in those promos for not being badass enough, for not, for being too silly or whatever. And, basically just saying you're not up to my level. I think Roman has more than proven that he is now. And when they had that match, Roman went over, correct? So I think Roman is even stronger now than he was when Cena faced him. Cena's been out of the ring. Cena's older. Cena's in Hollywood now. He's not active. I think it would be a huge mismatch for Cena at this point to get in the ring with Roman. And it would be weird that Roman was able to beat him a few years ago, but not be able to beat him now. I don't think I would do Roman and Cena. I'm open to Roman and Cena again for sure, but maybe not at SummerSlam. Because by that point, Roman is on a year-long run. I think he needs to run into somebody that it's like, oh, my God, finally, this fucking collision. And there's guys like that out there, and I think the biggest one right now is either The Rock or Brock Lesnar, and maybe a rematch with Drew McIntyre down the line, and maybe a match at some point with Bobby Lashley. He's got good matches with everybody. I think Brock and Rock are the two on the top of the list that I think can do some serious business. But, in terms of who's on the roster, Lashley, Fiend, and Drew, I'm very much into. So I don't think so. I think Cena, I really want to see Cena break the record. And I think Cena should win the Universal title because he's never held it before. But doing it this year at SummerSlam against Roman, that would surprise me if they did it. But then dropped it right back to Roman the next month, maybe. But I don't know. Sammy was the star last night, man. It was good stuff. And like I said, they deserved a lot of credit for putting that together the way they did, because when we kind of heard that it was going to be half taped and half live, it's really hard, I would imagine, especially not with two guys, with a dozen guys or whatever it is, to really mesh that together and have it come across as seamless. And, I think back to the Backlot Brawl at WrestleMania 12 when they filmed the Backlot shit a couple weeks before, and then they did the car chase and then finished it off in the arena and stuff. It was kind of like that, but it all fit like really well. It was super well done. And having Sammy get the finish against Spears like that in the end was great. Yeah, it was a really good pay-per-view last night. I don't know who Greg Gutfield is. No Mercy 2017. Thank you for that. So at least I was right on the year. Yeah, it was Cena and Roman went over. So you think now it would almost be a mismatch. Roman beat the shit out of him, I would think. I mean, somebody at some point has to take that belt off of Roman. And when you put the belt on Roman for this long, you have to make sure that when you do that, it's like the right situation and it's something that's going to get the biggest response or reaction or whatever. And it could be a star-making match for somebody if you continue to build Roman like this. So, because I think when Roman faces Rock or Brock, I think Roman needs to beat them or one of them, depending on who he faces. I think he still owes Brock one. He owes Brock a beatdown, a definitive pin. And if he continues this head of the table tribal chief nonsense, he's the head of the family, he's making that, very clear. I think at some point, The Rock is going to come out and they're going to have a little chat in the ring and we'll see if, and then when Rock, puts him in his place and then turns his back if Roman attacks him from behind. I mean, that would be some crazy shit. And then Rock gets on the mic, either right after the beatdown or the next week and says, you want to find out who the real tribal chief is? Why don't you face the real head of the table? I don't know what the stipulation would be, if they have a match and there's no title on the line, the winner is just the head of the family. Okay. Fine with me, I guess. Maybe you get some sort of different belt for that. You're the only one who liked that match? Which match? Cena and Roman? I barely remember it. Fans just hated both guys back then, so it was going to be tough to accept it, but I'm sure the match in the ring was just fine. Both those guys can work. People who think Cena can't work are stupid. He can. So can Roman. Yeah, Cena and Roman down the line, at a WrestleMania or something, I'd be into that. Just maybe not. I think it's just a little bit too close right now. The Mick Foley documentary really does show how much the whole Bray Wyatt universe is based off of him. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there. Like I said, I'm only halfway through. I've gotten up until where he's doing they're just about to make him do Love. That's how far I've gotten. But there's some of that stuff I didn't see. We've seen a lot of young Mick Foley on videotape with the stuff they showed back in 97 and the footage from the Snuka Morocco match. But they had some extra shit in there that I had never seen before when he was really young. Even, he's got the big famous spot where he dives off the roof. They show him like climbing to the roof. I think he's like walking up there to climb. I'm like, I've never seen that camera shot before. So there's some pretty good stuff in that documentary so far. And that Mankind character, I'll never forget, he debuted like night after WrestleMania 12 and attacked The Undertaker. And he was great. He had Undertaker's number that whole summer, beat him twice, beat him at King of the Ring and SummerSlam. You talk about launching a guy. Undertaker back in those days wasn't beaten. Nobody just beat him. And he was beat twice in two big back-to-back Big 5 pay-per-views before finally getting his revenge and, with the Survivor Series and stuff. But that was a big-time feud. They worked 4 out of 5 pay-per-views. 4 out of 6. They were King of the Ring, SummerSlam, Buried Alive, Survivor Series. Crazy, man. I mean, what a story. Undertaker talks a lot about Mick Foley on there, too. He's featured on the documentary, so is Paul Heyman. So far, so good. It's a great watch. I can't wait to finish it up tonight. Foley's got an amazing story. He's such a good dude, too, Such a good guy. Yeah, I saw some shots of Cody. I thought it was Captain America. I don't know anything about these superheroes and shit. I thought he was Captain America or something. I guess he had some sort of similar outfit to some fucking guy. But I just couldn't get over the American flag boots. They cracked me up. Fucking boots. American flag boots. My God. Cody is ridiculous. I think Mick Foley gets the credit. I think he didn't get the credit during his career, which is what they focused a lot on in the biography from what I've seen so far, is that he would take great offense to when people, would say, oh, you're not going to amount to anything, or you're good. Like Ric Flair called him a 300-pound stuntman. Why do you do this to yourself? And shit like that. And he took great offense to that, and he didn't feel like his work was being respected or appreciated. But now I think it kind of is. Most people look back and say, wow, man, he suffered suffered big time for us. And just watching him in that, because Mick Foley's getting a little older now, just watching him waddle and the way he walks, and like, man, I just hope he's not in constant pain. He seems to have a great attitude. I wouldn't think his body feels that great, but he seems always happy, always smiling and everything, and hopefully, Mick can remain on his feet into old age here, because he did one hell of a number on his body. That's for sure. It's been a good watch so far. Homelander Jones. I've never even heard of this person. He's a heel? Homelander Jones is a heel? That's what Cody should do, is turn heel. I don't even know. It's so funny. I've never even heard. I don't know anything about comic books and like superheroes, but I do hear shit. I do hear like Thanos and names like that. I don't know who the fuck they are, but I hear them. I've never even heard of Homelander. Don't know who that is. Why am I thinking of not Homelander? The one with the guy with the long hair. Not Hercules, but the other one. Oh, man, Highlander or something. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Used to be on USA. Oh, Homelander from The Boys. Basically a villain who is portrayed as an American hero, but represented everything wrong with America. So like Kurt Angle, right? Like 2000 Kurt Angle. That's awesome. They based a superhero after him. That's cool. Where would Bret Hart fit in this PG scripted promo era? Is he battling Roman Reigns? Probably. If you've got prime Bret Hart here right now. Bret's promo style would have been fine for this era. He would have been a little more scripted, that's for sure. I think Bret would have been all right. Bret's one of those talents. Bret and the 1, 2, 3 Kid would have fit in just fine. Maybe even Shawn. Shawn would be weird. But I think Bret in the PG era, he'd kick ass. Oh, he's the douchey version of Superman. What an asshole. Fuck you, Homelander. Get your ass out of here. And Cody dressed like him? Maybe that's an omen. Maybe that's a tease. Maybe that's a subtle hint there that he does want to go douche Superman and go heel. I think Cody should. I don't know if y'all heard, because it's not really talked about, but Cody is going to be a dad. Did you know that? I might have just dropped a bombshell on you there. I know it's shocking. Yeah, Brandy's pregnant. I mean, I wish they would at least inform the fans of this on Dynamite, because I think we would like to know. But, Cody's humble, doesn't like to talk about himself very much, so I feel that's my duty to let you guys know what's going on with him and Brandy. I'm always happy to help. If you need to know more about their lives, just shoot me an email. I'll tell you all about it. Brody, I don't know. If he wouldn't have been killed, then you're talking about post 88. Brody worked there. He worked for Vince Sr. a couple times. But in terms of coming in and working a contract, after that, he would have fit in weird. It would have been weird. If they brought him in 89, I think of when they brought in John Nord. What did they do to him? Fucking made him the berserker. So I think if they brought in Bruiser Brody, even based on his track record, I don't think he would be Bruiser Brody. They would make him, he would have been the berserker. That's what they would have done. They would have put that Viking hat on him and given him a sword. They go out there and do your thing. And his crooked face, kind of like how Nord could do it. They'd probably do something like that with him. So yeah, if he wasn't killed, he would have been. And he wanted to go take a payday in WWE and, get paid, make a contract, and let them turn you into a doll and a wrestling figure and a character. I think he could have done that, but I think he would not have been Bruiser Brody, not in those days. I guess that's not a total guarantee. Bam Bam Bigelow came in as Bam Bam Bigelow. They didn't fuck him up. So there were some guys that had a little bit of a run and got to come in as the same. So maybe he would have been Brody. But I feel if he was Brody, he just would have not been that marketable. Probably just put in front of Hogan on a house show loop or something. He would have been like a Killer Khan or a Kamala or something like that on the roster. I don't know. I don't think Brody would have seen much success. I worry. Coming in at that time. I think he would have been better off in NWA and just traveling internationally, Puerto Rico and Japan and all that stuff that he did. He was a legend. WWE would have made him. It would have been weird. He would have been losing to the Ultimate Warrior. It's probably best he stayed out. They would have put a Viking hat on him. You know it. Bruiser Brody in ECW, that would have been some shit. By then, yeah, he wouldn't have been too old by the time ECW came around. We're talking like nearly 10 years later when they really got cooking, but probably more likely around 8. So about 8 years after his death, you bring him in there around 96. Holy crap. It would be nuts. Get him in there with Foley and Terry Funk and all those guys. Oh, my God. Kofi and Xavier next Power Rangers with that attire. Thanks for that $2, Mike McGee. Yeah, Kofi, I actually liked his gear, and it just sucks for me because I'm so stupid when it comes to this stuff. There are so many times when the talent I know references a movie or a video game or something, and it's so over my head. Everybody will be saying, oh, my God, on Twitter and, like, marking out for something. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't even know what that is. I'm so bad. I literally, like, don't know anything about that stuff. So whenever they do some sort of a tribute or whatever, I kind of miss it. Unless they're tributing or referencing, you know, some past wrestler. You know, if it's anything in pop culture today, I'm pop culture illiterate. So Greg is clueless. But, yeah, Kofi in general, his attire tonight I thought looked really good. I liked his ring robe and everything. You know, Kofi's a former world champion. He should have flashy shit, and he does. He looks good. Could 87 Hogan have handled 2014 Lesnar? I think so, because he handled Andre. And Andre in WWE, the way they told Andre's story, he was somebody that was even stronger and bigger and better than Brock Lesnar. He was above everybody else. There was no bigger giant to slay than him. So in the world of disbelief suspension professional wrestling, yes, Hogan would beat Brock Lesnar. You put two of them in a cage and say fight to the death, Hogan's going down in seconds. So, yeah, I think 87 Hogan in a professional wrestling world would have beaten Lesnar. Hell yeah. Everybody but 87 Hogan would have beaten everybody except maybe 07 John Cena. Or no, what year was Cena at his most ridiculously strong? When you're like, Jesus, can this guy fucking stop winning? When was it at its peak of annoyance? You put that Cena in there with Hogan, that would be an interesting match. Very interesting match. Seeing Hogan trying to drag to the ropes in the STF of Cena's. Very poorly executed STF, I might add. Deshaun, what's up? With fans coming back, and this past year of wrestling will be a one-in-a-lifetime experience for companies like WWE and AEW, but do you plan on making a video of your top 10 or 20 female wrestlers? That would be a fun one to do. I could do that. I've already done kind of a top 10 male wrestlers before. Female wrestlers, yeah. Now that we've had some years and stuff, and I've got a lot of favorites, because if I would have done this video 5 or 6 years ago, it would have been an odd list. Now, I would say half of my top 10 would be women that I have seen only in the last like 6 years, since like 2015 or 2014. I mean, there's a lot of them. But I already know what my number one is going to be. Number one's Trish. Number one will always be Trish. I was so impressed with her. Thought she did great. 07, okay, everybody agrees it's 07. I kind of think it's 07 too. He was beating everybody, man. He's beating fucking Umaga. Just that year alone, he beat Umaga. He beat Shawn at WrestleMania. He beat Lashley, correct? I don't know what he did at SummerSlam that year. Those are just three big opponents I remember him defeating. 07. When I was 14, you feared Kane would be in your toilet. I think you're safe from big red machines coming out of commodes. You're going to be all right. Where from are you guys? 2010. Okay, 2010. I forgot what I was going to say about Cena there. Randy Orton beat John Cena at SummerSlam 2007. Okay, so Cena did lose a little bit, but he had a hell of a run. It would just be interesting to see when he hulked up against Cena's Never Say Die or whatever shit he did, seeing Hogan take a 5-knuckle shuffle. Oh, that would be glorious, man, if you could just somehow put those two in the ring. I know you can with modern video games. Speaking of SummerSlam, definitely want to go. We're going to find out this week, right? June 5th, whatever day June 5th is. I keep forgetting if it's Saturday or Sunday. But, yeah, it's Saturday. So this coming Saturday, they're going to announce the SummerSlam location. For convenience, I'm hoping it's here in LA. But even if it's Vegas, I think I'm going. So it'll be a hoot. SummerSlam, I'll be there. Ready to get back to life, especially if it's outside. It'll feel so good just being out there and stuff. It'll be hot, but it'll be fun. Hot and fun. Anyway, I'm probably going to be signing off here since we got not much else to discuss. Trying to think what else I can mention to you guys. Are there any other programming stuff? We talked about the Bret Hart A&E this week. NXT looks decent tomorrow. Fallout of the Balor Cross 2. No Dynamite on Wednesday, of course. We've got that coming up on Friday instead. And yeah, I'll be up here on Thursday most likely just doing kind of a random live stream. So we'll talk about whatever news is going on. And if there's absolutely nothing going on, then I will wait and figure out something for the weekend. But between now and then, I'll start putting together the watch-along for Sunday. And I hope you guys can be here for that. We'll watch a classic pay-per-view. I've got it narrowed down. I'll let you guys know which one I'm going to do on social media and on the YouTube channel. So subscribe and follow if you don't mind. All right, let me get my shit closed down. We look good. All right. Oh, I don't know, Domination. That's really... Oh, thank you for that, Mike Wood. I'll talk about that before I get out of here, too. $2 from Domination. Strongest wrestler, not 87. Hogan, 07. Cena, 14. Lesnar. Strongest wrestler. Okay. Strongest. I think Cena, man. Cena's pretty damn... It's down to Cena and Lesnar. I mean, in terms of like what they can do, physically, I mean, Hogan in a gym might have more impressive pythons, but Cena is so freakishly strong. I think I'm going to vote Cena as the strongest of everybody. Not that Brock isn't, but I think Cena's stronger. Deshaun, appreciate the $5. Correction, do you plan on making a video of your top 10 male and female wrestlers, by the way, WWE and AEW? Okay. Maybe, yeah, I could do that. So kind of do like an all-in-one video of like top 10 current wrestlers and stuff. I usually don't list my I don't have like really a list of favorites. I have a whole bunch of people I like and stuff, and ranking them is always kind of hard for me. But it might be a fun video. A lot of people like that type of stuff. They like rankings. They like top 10s and shit. So I've always thought about it. Need to incorporate some new content on the channel anyway. So that's possible. Yeah, Randy Orton's got that EC3 mustache. He kind of reminded me of Karrion Kross, and how interesting would that match be? Randy Orton and Karrion Kross. That would be good stuff. That would be good stuff. A lot of people were commenting on Randy Orton's facial hair tonight. Hilarious. I used to fear Heidenreich would sodomize Michael Cole. Poor Michael Cole. Complexity, I did. And on Saturday's podcast, we talked about Dark Side of the Ring. And then Thursday, go back and look on my channel. It's the news brief from Thursday. I extensively went into the A&E biography. So I've already given my thoughts on both of those. So you can find them. Look at, not yesterday's podcast, but look at Saturday's predictions. I talked a little bit about Dark Side of the Ring there. And then last Thursday's video, it's a news brief where I talked about Adnan Virk leaving, WWE, and John Cena's apology to China, I think, is in there, and the Warrior stuff from A&E. So it's all there. It's all there. So anyway, I'm going to head on out of here tonight and have some dinner. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night and great Memorial evening. Thank you so much for being here, and keep an eye on the channel. Tomorrow I should be dropping a special video, and then I'll be up here again on Thursday to give you guys a live stream and do a hangout, and we'll chat wrestling news and results and that sort of stuff. So you guys take care. Thanks again for being here. Talk